Hello and welcome to another video. As always, this is Jim Collector, and today I present you with the Hot Toys DX16 and the Sideshow Battle on Naboo Darth Mauls. Okay, so the main things we're going to be looking at in this video is which Darth Maul is better. Is actually there a superior one out of these two? And also, which one should you buy with your money? And with the 25th anniversary of The Phantom Menace coming up soon, do we really need a Hot Toys 2.0 Darth Maul? So without further ado guys, let's get stuck in and let's explore those topics. Alright, so here's a closer look at both of the head sculpts. And this is the major difference and the biggest reason for doing this video for me. And it's the difference between these two. So obviously you've got the Hot Toys DX16 on the left, and then we've got the Sideshow Battle of Naboo on the right. And straight up you can see these head sculpts look completely different. They're both undeniably Darth Maul, that's hard to argue, but the shape of the head on the right and the shape of the head on the left, hugely different. Now the Sideshow one for me looks a lot more accurate, and I watched a few videos on this as well, and I definitely think it's a more accurate representation. Looking at it as well, they have done a really nice job. Now the eyes don't move and they don't pop quite as much as the Hot Toys one, which is kind of a shame, but they are really well done and they have that menacing Darth Maul look, and I really think they captured his expression very well for the Phantom Menace Maul. Absolutely great. The spikes on the head are very similar, both fantastically detailed as well. The sculpting or the art craftsmanship on the Hot Toys is definitely superior to the Sideshow, but that really doesn't translate that much at all. It's just it doesn't. Obviously the markings on the Sideshow are a bit more accurate as well compared to the Hot Toys, which has the thicker lines, which seem to be more kind of ingrained into the skin, whereas the Sideshow one looks more like the face paint / tattoos that it is on Darth Maul as well, and just the detailing on the lines is more accurate to the film. Now neither of them are completely accurate, and you can also see the shades of red is slightly different. Neither of them, again, 100% to the film. I'd say actually the Hot Toys one's a bit too dark red, and the Sideshow one's slightly too light. I think somewhere in between would be your moneymaker right there, but they are very similar. But yeah guys, that's my thoughts on the head sculpts, and the biggest thought process for me on why one of these may be the better buy, but we'll come back to that later. What we'll do now is we'll have a quick look at the bodies and which one has the better mobility. Alright, catch you in a sec. Alright, so here we have both of the figures again. Now looking at the bodies, they are very similar. Now the outfit, the fabric itself is very similar. The Hot Toys has a slightly thicker, bit more premium feel to the Sideshow, which does look feel a bit thinner, but looks wise they do look quite similar. The Hot Toys body is chunkier. He's been benching a little bit more, whereas the Sideshow one is a little bit more athletic and skinnier looking, which for me does feel a bit more accurate to the character anyway. In terms of premium, the Hot Toys one does give a more premium feel, and I think that's just due to the better quality material they've used, not just in the fabric as well, but also in the belt. Now Sideshow's use a much softer pleather, whereas Hot Toys, I imagine that's pleather, I don't think it's leather, have used a much sturdier, thicker material, and it also fits a lot tighter on the figure, whereas on the Sideshow one it moves around quite a lot and can be a little bit irritating. The boots, there are differences in the boots and also the gloves. So the gloves on the Sideshow one are a bit more of a kind of grey black. It's a bit of a harder plastic than the Hot Toys one as well. But you can see there's good detailings on both. And then also on the boots, the Hot Toys boots are slightly larger and they have a little bit more detailing, especially around the buckles and on the different accents of the boots. But the Sideshow one, again, is in more of that lighter kind of grey black, but it has a lot of detail in the actual the leather part of the boots. You can see all the crinkling there as well, which looks really nice. So those are the main differences between the bodies. We're just going to quickly now check out articulation. Alright then, articulation wise isn't very different. So we do have I believe, double joints on the elbows. So the Hot Toys one, you can get a good double bend on the elbow there. And I believe you can also get pretty much the same on the Sideshow one, although it is slightly more limited. As you can see there, you can't get quite as much of a bend on that elbow as the Hot Toys one, which is a bit of a shame, but I haven't, in my poses that I've done, noticed a massive difference. Both arms, I believe, go straight out to the side on both these figures, like so. So that is the Sideshow. And then if we try that with the Hot Toys, I believe it is exactly the same. So range of motion wise, you're not going to get a whole bit different. Darth Maul can almost do the splits. He's got a double bend on his knee, a nice ratchet in the knees as well, which I like, which is good to see. See if he stands up like that. The Sideshow one, again, good range of motion and good bend on that knee, although not quite as much as the Hot Toys one, but you're going to get a lot of mobility out of this. Neither of them really have any ankle mobility. The one thing you get in the Sideshow one is a lot more movement throughout the waist that you don't get on the Hot Toys. That one is a lot stiffer, but I don't see that being a big issue. When we get to our posing segment, you'll see how these kind of both pose quite nicely. The other big difference, joint wise, the Sideshow one's joints, the body's not as good as the Hot Toys body, but that's long been known for Sideshow, not too much of a surprise here, and nor does it impact the Sideshow figure quite as much, if I'm being honest. Alright, so here we have them both in our first pose, and it's interesting. Now, I've tried to recreate the poses as similar as possible here. Obviously, there'll be some small differences. The hand gestures are slightly different, but they're both a dream to pose. They really are. The Hot Toy is so easy to pull off different poses with, and the Sideshow, I would argue, slightly easier to do so, just because it's easier to swap out the hands, and the slightly looser joints allow for a bit more range of motion, and they do hold their position quite nicely once you get them in place. So I had no issues with the looser joints at all. Just they're more prone to being kind of knocked around as you move him from different place to different place. But they do pose up really nicely. It's hard to really decide which one poses here in this pose a bit more. I do like, I'm leaning towards the Sideshow. I like his face, facial expression in this pose. I know obviously you can put the angry head sculpt on the Hot Toys one, but for the purpose of this video I am just looking at the stoic head sculpt, just because we don't have that from Sideshow, so you can't really compare. That is obviously something that may sway you to the Hot Toys because it has two sculpts, but the snarling head sculpt, I've never been a huge fan of that anyway, because the likeness there just isn't there, even more so than the Hot Toys one. But right, now we're going to get them into another pose. Alright, and here is pose number 2. Now, interestingly, actually, I feel like the Hot Toys one pose a lot nicer here. It was a lot easier to make this into more of a natural pose than it was with the Sideshow one. The lightsaber as well on the Sideshow is annoying. I don't like it. It falls apart. It doesn't snap in nicely. The blades are kind of big and clumsy looking once you have them more in this kind of a position, and they don't stay straight as well. They kind of like bend down a little bit, so there is that bit of an issue, which is his lightsaber looks more toyetic than the Hot Toys one as well. So this is one instance actually where the Hot Toys one for me looks a lot nicer. The head sculpt still win on the Sideshow, but pose wise the Hot Toys one pulled this off a lot better than the Sideshow one. Now we are going to do an extra pose here. I do want to get both of them into his cloak, and I want to see which one kind of looks better like that. I do only have one cloak, it's the one that comes with the DX16, so I won't be able to do a side by side, but we'll see how both of them look. Alright, so here is the Hot Toys Maul all cloaked up and ready to go, and I have to say I love this version of Darth Maul. He just like embodies a Sith, or a Sith apprentice right here. He just looks so damn good. Obviously the cloak fits nicely. It does have some wires throughout as well, especially in his sleeves, so you can create different poses with it. But this is just a really nice stoic pose that really captures Maul, especially in the Phantom Menace. So obviously this is how the Hot Toys DX16 looks, and it looks amazing. The head sculpt, I think, in the cloak looks a lot better than it does outside of it. which shouldn't be the case, really, I suppose. But it is just the shadows give it that kind of leaner feel rather than that kind of round shape that it really kind of has in the without it should be a longer head rather than circular, which it kind of looks to me. But now we'll just quickly check out the Sideshow one in the same cloak. And here is the Sideshow in the same robe or coat. And this equally does look really good. Again, a bit biased, but this is my preferred look for Darth Maul, so this is how I'll probably display one of these two figures. I probably won't keep both because I don't need two Mauls, to be quite honest, but he does look good. And again, I think the Sideshow one wins it, especially in the cloaked look. It just really gives him that stoic, menacing Darth Maul that we saw in the Phantom Menace, which is my favourite iteration of Darth Maul for sure. Loved him in the Clone Wars, but Phantom Menace is Ultimate Maul for me. So yeah, that about wraps it up. What I'm going to do now, guys, is I'm going to get both the figures back on the table, and I'm going to kind of discuss my thoughts on which figure I prefer, and then I'm going to kind of decide. Then I'm going to discuss if I think a Hot Toys 2.0 is needed. Alright, catch you in a sec. And here we are back with both Mauls, just kind of chilling side by side, just to give us a last view of how they both look together. Alright, so my verdict, which of these two figures do I prefer? And now it's not an easy answer. The Hot Toys is far superior in many, many ways. We haven't gone through much, but obviously the accessories that you get with the Hot Toys, vastly superior, and you get a lot more, especially if you get the DX17. But that head sculpt really stands out to me on the Sideshow, and it looks fantastic, even though it does look a little bit too small or undersized. That might just be next to the massive head on the Hot Toys version. So for me, although it's not an easy decision, I prefer the Sideshow version, if I'm being completely honest, which did shock me because I got the DX16 a while ago now, my first Hot Toys Star Wars figure, and I absolutely adore it, and I still do. But the Sideshow one, for me, is my preferred version, which brings me to my last point. Do we need a 2.0 of Darth Maul from Hot Toys? Yes, I think we do, unless they don't change the head sculpt. If they keep the same head sculpt, that would kind of make it a bit pointless in my eyes, because the DX16 is fantastic as it is. But if they could give us a better, more accurate head sculpt similar to this Sideshow version, then I would be all for it. Now, I don't think it's out of the cards. I think we're quite likely to get a 2.0 of Darth Maul, and we've seen them kind of re-sculpt older characters before. They've done it most recently with Anakin. We've got 2 new sculpts of that character, so I don't think it beyond the realms of possibility that they do a more screen accurate sculpt on a new Hot Toys release, be it a DX or a normal release, for the Phantom Menace 25th anniversary. So guys, thank you very much for stopping by and checking out this video. I hope you do enjoy it. Please drop me some comments below and just let me know your thoughts on which of these two you prefer, and also whether you want a 2.0 Darth Maul. I admit there's definitely some figures I would rather see from Phantom Menace initially, because we do have 2 great Mauls right here. I would especially like to see Padawan Obi-Wan Kenobi. That would be really high on my list. But as always guys, this has been Jim Collector. Thanks for stopping by, and I hope to see you in another video soon.